Jean. I am the most experienced member on council, elected to 2 terms, and I've chaired the Human Resources, Public Works, and Community Development Committees. I've also served on Public Safety and Finance. The position of Vice President is relatively new to City Council, added by a special committee I chaired to review council rules. That was the first update to council rules since City Councilwoman Dolores Caskey chaired a similar special committee in the 1970s. Mrs. Caskey, a mentor of mine, was the only woman in City Council history to serve as council president. As Councilman Reynolds pointed out, if I were to be elected, and I would be honored to be elected, I would be the first woman elected to that position in city history. And no matter the gender, I would seek to serve, if needed, with Mrs. Caskey's same integrity and tenacity. This is my 6th year on council. My attendance is excellent. Perhaps most memorably, I once attended an important city council meeting only 3 hours after my release from a 5-day stay at Lehigh Valley Hospital. I am committed to this job. In all, I've chaired 17 committee meetings, including 2 where the subjects were contentious and the audience seats were filled and, we'll say, vibrant. Finally, I've chaired 2 community boards, was vice chair of another, and I was secretary to a 3rd. I study Robert's rules, and at the expense of sounding creepy, I study President Donchez when he is in action on the dais. Based on my experience and research into Robert's rules and council rules, I believe I could jump in at any time to preside over city council if needed, even though I suspect that President Donchez won't vacate his chair unless he is unbearable discomfort, and even then, probably not. My sincere thanks to Gordon for his service. Boy, if I could just clarify, Councilman DiGiacinto and I get along just fine. We support each other. I was just trying to move us forward in what I thought was the right direction. It wouldn't have benefited me if I would have, it may have been the opposite of benefiting me. I just was trying to clarify the rules we're supposed to follow. But Gordon, you are the most diverse elected official in Bethlehem history, elected to 3 different positions, and you have served each one with grace and with wisdom. It would be an honor to follow you in service. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further comment from council? Councilman Reynolds?
Thank you. First of all, Councilman Maurer, I'd like to let you know that's been a true honor to be sitting with you here this past year, and I look forward to next year. I know you are not running for re-election, so you will be missed, and you need to know that. And Councilman Dolan, I want to let you know I also respect what you bring to the table with us at council, and I think you offer a lot in a number of different ways and bring a large variety of ideas and opinions to the table. Tonight I will be supporting Councilman DiGiacinto, and the number one reason is finances. I think as a council right now, given the past 2 years, our number one priority, our number one focus, our number one concern, our number one stress right now is finances, getting the city up to where we want it to be. And I think Councilman DiGiacinto gives us that leadership in that area, in the area of finance. I think he's unparalleled for what he can bring to the table, and that's why I will be supporting him tonight. Thank you.
Is there any further comment from council? Given the protocol, I believe it's now appropriate to vote. And given the nature of the nominations, I believe that the first vote should be for Councilwoman Dolan to be Vice Chair of Bethlehem City Council for the remainder of Reverend Maurer's term. I'd ask the City Clerk to please read the roll, and an aye vote would be in favor of that motion, and a no or a nay would obviously be not in favor of it.
Mrs. Belinsky? Nay. Mr. DiGiacinto?
Nay.
Ms. Dolan?
Aye.
Mr. Evans?
Nay.
Mr. Maurer?
Stay.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Mr. Donchez?
Nay.
speaking of, the vote is fails 2 to 5.
4 to 2.
Then would be appropriate pursuant to the protocol to consider a motion for Councilman DiGiacinto to be Vice Chair of Bethlehem City Council for the remainder of Reverend Mauer's term, being approximately 9 months.
Mr. Dodo, you asking for a motion?
No, I think you just call the roll at this point. If the clerk would call the roll, thank you. I'm sorry.
Mrs. Belinsky.
Aye.
Mr. DiGiacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolan.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mauer. Mr. Reynolds.
Nay.
Mr. Domchek.
Aye.
42 passes.
Congratulations, Mr. DiGiacinto. With relief and pleasure, I'll return the meeting to our chairman.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 4, approval of minutes for March 15. Any comments? Then stand approved. We'll move to courtesy of the floor for public comment on an ordinance or resolution that the City Council will be voting on this evening with a 5-minute time limit. Mr. Antalis.
David Antalik, 737 illustrious solicitor, being a veteran of military, that is, I wore you a Purple Heart. But also, I might say that we could have been saved 20 minutes simply the argument, or whatever you want to call it, if a member of council was deprived of voting for the choice. There's a very simple solution. Nominate that person. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on an issue that we will be voting on? Mr. Shire?
Yes, I'd like to comment on the, Bill Shire, 1898, and I'd like to comment on the nomination of Arif Fazil to the Planning Commission. He's a very fine fellow. I have nothing against him. Well, I have one thing against him, and that is his close relationship to the Bethlehem Area School District. I believe there is a potential conflict of interest there. Again, because we had one on the Brockle Middle School. So I think that you should instead put somebody on the Planning Commission who doesn't have that potential conflict of interest. As exemplary as he is as an individual, I think he should stay with the school district. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? We'll move into the agenda. Old business, members of council. Item 6, old business. Item 7, 7A, communications. Police Officer Joseph Ocasio requests for additional leave of absence.
Correspondence from Police Officer Joseph Ocasio requesting another leave of absence.
Resolution 11D is on the agenda this evening for discussion and a vote. We'll move to 7B, City Solicitor Intergovernmental Agreement authorizing municipal project on State Highway PennDOT Route 378 from Broadway, Dakota Street to 3rd Street, Delaware Avenue. 7B.
Attached is a proposed resolution authorizing the mayor and controller to execute an intergovernmental agreement with PennDOT for the Route 378 project to implement revised pavement markings and signing to reestablish parking on the east side of Route 378 between Broadway and Dakota Street and 3rd Street and Delaware Avenue.
Comments? This resolution will be on the April 18th agenda. 7C, City Solicitor, Records Destruction Resolution, EMS Bureau.
Attached is a proposed resolution for council's consideration under the previously adopted Municipal Records Retention Act. The Fire Department's Bureau of Emergency Medical Services would like to destroy the records listed on the exhibit that have been reviewed by the Law Bureau, and the records fall within the categories where destruction is permitted.
This This resolution will be placed on the April 18th agenda. 7D, City Solicitor, Records Destruction Resolution, Purchasing Bureau.
Attached is a proposed resolution for council's consideration under the previously adopted Municipal Records Retention Act. The Purchasing Bureau would like to destroy the records listed on the exhibit that have been reviewed by the Law Bureau, and the records fall within the categories where destruction is permitted.
This resolution will be placed on the April 18th agenda. 7E, Bethlehem Authority, Working Woodlands Blue Source Agreements.
At the meeting on October 19th, 2010, City Council approved a term sheet resolution which established the framework for and allowed for the negotiation of the Working Woodlands Conservation Easement Agreement with the Nature Conservancy and the agreement for the verification, registration, and marketing of greenhouse gas emission reduction benefits with Blue Source. At the meeting on March 10th, 2011, the Bethlehem Authority Board unanimously approved these two operative agreements, which now need approval by City Council. It is requested that the attached resolution and accompanying agreements be considered for approval by City Council at the meeting this evening, April 5th.
Resolution 11F is on the agenda this evening. 7F, Parks and Public Property, PPL right-of-way for Hellertown Road.
The Parks and Public Property Department and the Bureau of Engineering have reviewed the attached right-of-way request from PP&L and recommend that a resolution be adopted granting the right-of-way.
Resolution 11K is on the agenda this evening. 7G, Parks and Public Property Director, DCNR grant applications, Clearview Pool, Monocacy Creek Dam removal.
Attached are two proposed resolutions for grant applications to the DCNR for funding assistance for Clearview Pool and for Monocacy Creek dam removal.
Resolution will be placed on the April 18th agenda. We'll move to reports. President of Council, no reports, but just one or two quick questions, if I may, for the administration. Dennis, I sent you a memo yesterday. I think members of council might have received it today, or it will be in their packets on Friday. This goes to the Parks Department about last year when we were going through the budget and we increased the fees. I don't remember any discussion. Maybe it should have had some discussion, or maybe it's not relevant either, about charging profits versus non-profits who use the ice rink or Memorial Swimming Pool. And you'll be getting a copy of the memorandum. I don't know if you have yet. To review it, I received calls from two non-profits that from the Pink and the Luminary organization. And the question is, when they received their letters in the past few weeks or so, they were surprised at the amount they're going to have to pay. One is like $700 around everything, and the other one's around $1,200. And I'm just wondering, is that something maybe you could review, or do you want to just keep it across the board? And that's all I told them I would do, is get an opinion from the administration. Should we have a differentiation between profits and non-profits, since they're donating money to charities? Okay.
I'll get back to you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
I have some administrative orders to read, if I can find them. Administrative order number 1348, I hereby reappoint Beverly Hoover, 3335 Stonehouse Court, Bethlehem, PA, to the Fine Arts Commission, and this reappointment is effective until April 2014.
And the resolution to confirm is sponsored by Eric Evans and J. William Reynolds.
Comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Galinsky.
Aye.
Mr. DiGiacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolan.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mauer.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Doncheck.
Aye.
7-0 passes.
Administrative order number 1349, I hereby reappoint Denny Derman Iyer, 135 East Market Street, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, to the Fine Arts Commission, and this reappointment is effective until April 2014.
And the resolution to confirm is sponsored by Eric Evans and J. William Reynolds.
Comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Galinsky.
Aye.
Mr. DiGiacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolan.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mauer.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Doncheck.
Aye.
7-0 passes.
Administrative order number 1350, I hereby reappoint A. Craig Evans, 464 Montclair Avenue, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, to the Historic Conservation Commission, South Bethlehem and Mount Airy, and this reappointment is effective until April 2014.
And the resolution to confirm is sponsored by Eric Evans and J. Lynn Reynolds.
Comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Zelinski.
Aye.
Mr. DeGiuseppe.
Aye.
Ms. Dolan.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mauer. Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Doncheck.
Aye.
7-0 passes.
Administrative Order Number 1351, I hereby reappoint Anthony M. Silvoy, 1231 Shelburne Drive, Bethlehem, to the Historic Conservation Commission, South Bethlehem and Mount Airy, and this reappointment is effective until April 2014.
And the resolution to confirm is sponsored by Eric Evans and J. Lynn Reynolds.
Comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Zelinski.
Aye.
Mr. DeGiuseppe.
Aye.
Ms. Dolan.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mauer. Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Doncheck.
Aye.
7-0 passes.
And the last one, Administrative Order Number 1352, I hereby appoint Mohammed Arif Fazil, 3333 Buford Drive, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, to the City Planning Commission, and this appointment is effective until March 2013.
And the resolution to confirm is sponsored by Eric Evans and J. Lynn Reynolds.
Comments? Ms. Dolan?
I'm always amazed by the wisdom of our own Bill Shire. I looked at this and I immediately thought there was something. I think conflict of interest, as Bill Shire points out, is probably the most dangerous aspect of appointing Arif Fazil. I can't say enough positive things about him. He's extremely talented and certainly capable. But as we've seen in just the past few years, and we will undoubtedly see quite a bit of in the future, the city of Bethlehem will have to be making votes that will have a definite impact one way or the other on the school district. And those decisions will in most cases have to come through the Planning Commission. As it is, there has been a lot of debate over whether Mr. Fazil holds too much power within the BASD. And there have been school board directors who have questioned conflict of interest on his behalf within the BASD. The public comments that have been made is that Mr. Fazil chooses the contractor, and then he is the contractor that he chooses, and this has happened on more than one occasion. And the school board seems to tolerate that, but I don't think that would be tolerated here in the city of Bethlehem. So I think we will run into conflict of interest issues just because of the nature and also because of perhaps what Mr. Fazil has gotten used to in his position at the ASD. I would hope that there's a great role for Mr. Fazil in serving his city, but I would ask and caution my fellow council members against such an obvious conflict of interest that a person who submits so many subdivision plans and plans with his own name written on them, I mean many plans to the city, would also serve on our planning commission. I think that's a recipe for potential, at least the appearance of a conflict of interest, if not a direct conflict.
Thank you. Any other comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Zelinski.
Nay.
Mr. DeGiuseppe.
Nay.
Ms. Dolan.
Nay.
Mr. Evans.
Nay.
Mr. Mauer. Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Doncheck.
Nay.
6-1 fails.
Thank you. Committee reports. Mr. Reynolds, Finance, Public Works.
The Finance Committee and the Public Works Committee met jointly on Monday, March 28, 2011 at 7 p.m. in Town Hall. The Finance Committee jointly with the Public Works Committee considered the following: proposed wind energy project, Watershed, Penn Forest Township. The members of the Finance Committee and the Public Works Committee unanimously recommend that City Council approve a resolution for the Bethlehem Authority to enter into a non-binding letter of intent with Call Mount Wind in order for Call Mount Wind to construct and operate a wind energy facility in Bethlehem Authority property at the Watershed in Penn Forest Township. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Zelinski, do you have any comments? No. Okay, thank you. We'll move to item 10, new ordinances, 10A, bill number 9, amending the general fund budget for JAG accounts.
An ordinance of the City of Bethlehem, Counties of Lehigh and Northampton, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending the general fund budget for 2011. The Council of the City of Bethlehem ordains the total appropriations in the general fund budget be increased from $65,378,522 to $65,495,482. The allocations to be changed are the Justice Assistant Grant and also the JAG grant under the ARRA program. The source of revenue is also the Police JAG grant. Section 4 is repealed. Bill number 8 is sponsored by David D. Jacinto and J. Wayne Reynolds.
Comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Polinsky.
Aye.
Mr. D. Jacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolan.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mallon.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Donchester.
Aye.
7-0 passes.
10B, bill number 10, amending the non-utility capital budget, Main Street streetscape improvements.
An ordinance of the City of Bethlehem, Counties of Lehigh and Northampton, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending the 2011 capital budget for non-utilities. The Council of the City of Bethlehem ordains the total appropriations in the non-utility capital budget be increased from $16,227,016 to $16,277,016. The allocation to be changed is the DCED Main Street streetscape improvements, and that is also the source of revenue. Section 4 is the repeal of bill number 9 is sponsored by David D. Jacinto and J. William Reynolds.
Comments? Mr. Reynolds?
Question, and I'm not sure if this is directed towards Mr. Kelly or who, but the Main Street streetscape improvements that we're dealing with here, that's not any of that work that's currently going on down there at the south end of Main Street, is that?
No, we haven't figured it, we haven't, wait, we're still looking at what we're gonna do with this one.
That work that's currently going on the south end of Main Street, is that something the city's paying for?
It's not. I think,
The city and the church is responsible for part of that,
Okay,
for the curb in the street, on the street.
okay,
for the sidewalks.
okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Polinsky.
Aye.
Mr. D. Jacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolan.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mallon.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Donchester.
Aye.
7-0 passes.
Move the resolutions, 11A, transfer of funds, taxes, temporary help.
Be it resolved by the Council of the City of Bethlehem that $48,750 in the general fund budget be transferred from the Tax Bureau Professional Services account in unforeseen contingency to the Taxes Temporary Help account to pay for a contract employee to assist with processing EIT claims and final returns through year end. Resolution 11A is sponsored by J. William Reynolds and David D. Jacinto.
Comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Polinsky.
Aye.
Mr. D. Jacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolan.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mallon.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Donchester.
Aye.
7-0 passes.
11B, transfer of funds, overpayment of state aid.
Be it resolved by the Council of the City of Bethlehem that $6,500 in the general fund budget be transferred from the unforeseen contingency account to the prior year encumbrances to pay the Commonwealth back for overpayment of state aid plus interest. Resolution 11B is sponsored by J. William Reynolds and David D. Jacinto.
Comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Polinsky.
Aye.
Mr. D. Jacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolan.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mallon.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Donchester.
Aye.
7-0 passes.
Thank you. Chair will accept the motion to consider resolutions 11C and resolutions 11G through 11J as a group, sponsored by Mr. Evans and seconded by Mr. Reynolds. I ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion and to read the resolutions, please.
Mrs. Polinsky.
Aye.
Mr. D. Jacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolan.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mallon.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Donchester.
Aye.
All our certificates of appropriateness under the provisions of the Act of the Pennsylvania Legislature and Bethlehem Ordinance. 11C, a proposal to renovate the front facade at 425 to 427 East 4th Street. 11G, to install a shed-style awning and new trim work on the facade and apply vinyl lettering to the front window at 333 Broadway. 11H, to construct an addition to the rear of the building at 375 13th Avenue. 11I, to remove a portion of the brick front facade and apply stucco at 132 to 134 West 4th Street. 11J, to install vinyl lettering on the windows and door at 501 East 4th Street. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Bethlehem that certificates of appropriateness are granted for the work, and the resolutions are sponsored by Eric Evans and J. Warren Reynolds.
Comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Zelinski.
Aye.
Mr. DeGiacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolan.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mauer. Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Donches.
Aye.
7-0, they pass.
11D, granting additional leave of absence to police officer Joseph Ocasio. Mr. Spadoni, quick comment on the vote, on this vote.
As you're aware, this was prepared for your packet. I would only indicate that for this to be approved pursuant to the statute, it requires a 4/5 vote, which would be 6.
And let me say, Mr. Spadoni, that we only have one sponsor, since we don't have a second co-sponsor. This resolution is dead. Correct?
Correct.
We will move to 11E, approving a letter of intent to Bethlehem Authority at Call Mountain Wind.
Whereas the Bethlehem Authority and Call Mountain Wind desire to enter into a non-binding letter of intent known as the Wind Energy Project, whereas the letter of intent states that Call Mountain and the authority will enter into a license agreement to construct and operate a wind energy facility. Whereas the letter of intent also states that the term of the license agreement shall be for 25 years, commencing within 3 years of the execution of the license agreement, provided certain testing results are satisfactory to Call Mountain. Whereas the letter of intent also provides that the authority will receive certain fees and expense reimbursements commencing upon execution of the license agreement and for the term of the license agreement. Whereas the authority desires to obtain the approval of City Council to move forward with the negotiation of the license agreement with Call Mountain as generally set forth in the letter of intent. Be it resolved by the Council of the City of Bethlehem that the non-binding letter of intent is approved. The authority is encouraged to move forward with negotiations toward consummation of the license agreement conditioned upon the Council of the City of Bethlehem approving the license agreement prior to execution by the authority. Resolution 11E is sponsored by Eric Evans and J. William Reynolds.
Comments? Please call. Mr. Reynolds.
I just want to say that I would like to thank, I know I see Mr. Fall here. I want to thank him and his, the team that he's working for the presentation that they made the other day at council. I think it was very informative. I think it was very thorough. I think that there's a lot of moving parts in this project, but the fact that when you came forward, everybody kind of had all the questions the council brought forward, everybody there had an answer. And I want to thank you for that. I think that the involvement of a lot of people that we have seen the work they've done before in the Lehigh Valley, I think is certainly a plus. And please keep us in the loop. We know there's a lot of, kind of important points going forward. And I just want to also thank Mr. Brong, and I think Mr. Tallarico is the only member of the authority here tonight, for the work that you have done to put together these projects. I know oftentimes we talk about revenue enhancements, we talk about what can we do to increase our revenue in different aspects. And I know you guys worked very hard in this. Mr. Repash is here as well. And I think all of you guys deserve credit for that. And we'll see what happens going forward. And I only want to speak for myself, but certainly up to this point, it's been nothing but positive, and I'm excited about the project, and I think we all should be. So thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Dahl?
Just to echo what Mr.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
You go first. You go
All right, I'm
first.
sorry, I didn't see you. Just to echo what Mr. Reynolds says, I think we should get, because there is a lot of time, a lot of study work that has to be done, and I really do feel that, we should come back, maybe either to committee and update the committee long before it comes back to council. There's a lot of time you guys are going to be looking at this thing, a year plus, and rather than get surprised one day with a deal to look at, 2-3 days before a council meeting, I'd really like to see how we progress on this. You're signing a long, long lease. That's the case, and I think it's important that we know what's going on there.
Thank you. Ms. Dolan?
I was just going to second Councilman Reynolds, and I think that there are built into this several stipulations that it's not going to suddenly be a signed lease without coming forward to council, if I remember correctly from the meeting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Zelinski.
I think we need further negotiation on it, or I don't want to vote yes or no.
Mrs. Spadoni, could she abstain? I don't Or that's permitted by Robert's rules?
Well, we have a rule of council that absent a conflict of interest, members of council are required to vote.
Please call the roll again.
Okay. Mrs. Blansky.
Aye.
Mr. DeGiuseppe.
Aye.
Ms. Dolan.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mauer.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Donchez.
Aye.
7-0 pass.
11F, approving the execution of the operative agreements for working woodlands.
Whereas the Bethlehem Authority, the Nature Conservancy, and Blue Source entered into a non-binding term sheet known as the Working Woodlands Term Sheet. Whereas the term sheet was formally approved by Council by Resolution 2010-163, October 19, 2010. Whereas the term sheet provided that the authority, the